Eleventeen. Sarah turned 11 years today, which made it a special day. A person can turn 11 at once, and most people never turn 11 at all. In fact, I'll let you in a little secret. Sarah is the only person who has ever turned 11. Ever. Not a single other living soul has done it. Not a single other dead soul has done it either. You are probably wondering how Sarah accomplished this rare extraordinary feat. This, of course, is that story. Aboard Sarah as she walked into the kitchen for breakfast on Saturday morning. "Would you like to invite a friend over?" asked her mother. "No," said Sarah, "that's not the problem. I'm bored being 10." "Well, your birthday is only a few weeks away," said her mother, "so you won't have to be 10 much longer." "I'm bored being 11," Sarah said. "You've never even been 11," interjected her big sister Kate, and entering the room. "I guess you want to be a teenager, just like me." "I want to be like you as much as I want to be a snail," Sarah retorted, proud that she could think of a comeback so quickly. "Well, that's funny because you're as slow as one," said Kate. Uh-oh, Sarah needed another comeback. Quick! She didn't have one on the tip of her tongue. Her 8 years old brother, Noah, as usual, he at the breakfast table before anyone else, saved her. "I wish you were both 18," Noah said. "Why?" asked Mom. "Because then they'd both go away to college, and I'd have Mommy to myself." "What about Daddy?" asked Sarah. "What about me?" Dad said as he walked into the kitchen, opening the newspaper, and would not look at where he was going. Noah smirked and humped, a- as if to say that everyone knows that are not nearly the problem that big sisters are. "Sarah's bored being 10," Mom said to Dad. He looked up and noticed everyone looking at him. "Well, her birthday's only a few weeks away," he said brightly, if and as if he was sure that this one figure out. "She won't have to be 10 much longer," he concluded. "We've been through that," Sarah and Kate said in unison. "Oh," Dad said, "so what's wrong with being 11?" "It's too far away from 18," said Noah. "So, what's the big rush to be 18?" asked Dad, clearly confused. "Oh, never mind," Sarah said, getting up from the table. "Aren't you going to eat your breakfast?" Mom asked. "I'm not hungry," Sarah said. "Right," piped in Kate, her voice dripping with adolescent sarcasm. Adolescent sarcasm. "She's too busy being bored to be hungry." "Kate, you're being mean," said Sarah, storming out of the kitchen. As she left, she heard her father say, for a millionth time, "Kate, be nice to Sarah." Sarah went to her room. In the silence, sometimes think she had to admit that anything that ended with teen sounded better than anything that didn't. 11 isn't bad, really, at least to have more than one syllable. But when Sarah realized he had to spend a whole year being 12, it just sounded just awful. Nothing very excited that could happen to someone called 12, she supposed. She needed to be a teenager, but it was too far away even to think about. It was a dilemma, no doubt about it. Whenever Sarah had a dilemma, her father would tell her to weigh the facts. She was never sure whether he was kidding or through a thought dilemmas really could be solved by putting facts on some kind of scale. And anyway, she'd never weighed the facts, but then she'd never solved any dilemmas either. Maybe there was something to Dad's advice. Sarah took out her drawing pad and two colored pencils. She decided the table would be her scale to weigh the facts. The first column was labeled "Being a Teenager", and it was a lavender because it would be wonderful to be a teenager. The second column labeled "Being 11", and was and in and was in royal blue because the color was full of possibilities. The whole rest of the page was blank. Sarah started to think about teenagers and 11 years olds. She could decide what to write. She wanted to list all the good things about being a teenager and all the good things about being 11. She could then compare the good things about each age and see which was better. The first thing she put in the teenager column was "Can't go to the mall by myself". That was a good one because Sarah most definitely could not go to the mall by herself. She kept making entries, and finally the table looked like this. Sarah started to think about what she put in the being 11 column. Now that she was turning 11, she would have more responsibility for herself and another. Just like Alika, her best friend would be able to jog down to the park to play soccer. They could go any time they wanted as long as it was before the dark, and they told their parents where they were going. Sarah's a good athlete, one of the fastest kids in class and great at the standing jump, a long jump. The park was more fun than the mall, but she had been dying to go to the mall by herself. It was definitely exciting to able to go to the mall without your parents or your big sister. A few times that Kate had taken Sarah to the mall, she had made Sarah feel as though she was even younger than 10. Sarah had big dreams about walking into stores as a cool teenager. She would choose how long she stayed at each store, what store to go next, or to stay another 10 minutes just looking at the kittens. As Sarah looked down her table's columns, she began to realize something. She liked babysitting because she could earn money. 16-year-olds got to babysit all the time. As Sarah turned 11, her parents said she could babysit Noah and they would pay her. She would still be too young to babysit other people's children, but at least she could babysit Noah. Sarah thought that in that way she would not she would be close to being 16. At 11 she could babysit Noah and earn money and buy the things she wanted, like blue nail polish. In fact, that was another way she would be a 16 years old. She could use her own money and buy things she wanted. It wasn't like an allowance, when her parents still saying yes or no to what she bought. She would earn the money, so decision about what she could spend it on would be hers, just like 16 years old. Sarah completed the last line in the table. Can spend my money on what I want. Then it was there in the lavender and blue. At 11 she would be a whole lot closer to being 16 than she was at 10. Actually, if you look at it one way, 11 was only 5 years away from 16. That's when it dawned on her. 11! That's what she would be like a teenager, responsible, able to earn money and make her own decision about how to spend it. But not yet a teenager in years. Besides, she thought it more important to act older than to be older. Her dad was right. When you have a dilemma, all the all you have to do is weigh the facts. Sarah knew people might ask her what she meant when she told them she's 11. But that was no problem. She would tell them, "Oh, someday you'll find out when you are 11." But of course, they wouldn't because no one had ever been 11 before and probably no one would ever be again.